Joanna and Mariana lived in a small house in a quiet part of town. Joanna, a woman with a strong and determined heart, faced the daily challenges of raising her daughter alone. She worked hard to support her family, but the traumas of the past still echoed in her heart, leaving deep scars of disappointment and bitterness. Mariana, on the other hand, was a radiant young woman, with her captivating beauty and charming personality. With her stunning looks, she grew up in an environment marked by the shadow of her mother's jealousy and insecurity. Joanna struggled with her conflicting feelings towards Mariana. On the one hand, she loved her more than anything in the world and would do anything to protect her. On the other hand, Joanna's jealousy grew as she watched her daughter blossom into a beauty that she herself had never had. This inner duality was a constant source of conflict for Joanna, who struggled to overcome her own emotional demons. Meanwhile, Mariana was growing up amidst this whirlwind of emotions. She loved her mother deeply and always admired her strength and courage. However, as adolescence approached, she began to notice the nuances in Joanna's attitudes, the disguised looks of disapproval and the acid comments that slipped out in moments of weakness. Despite this, Mariana was a resilient young woman who was determined to achieve her dreams. She dedicated herself to her studies and found refuge in her passion for music, which transported her to a world where worries disappeared and only the melody of life echoed in her soul. As mother and daughter navigated the ups and downs of life together, a series of unexpected events awaited them, challenging them to face their deepest fears and find redemption and forgiveness within themselves. The relationship between Joanna and Mariana became increasingly strained as Mariana blossomed in her beauty, with her long flowing hair and sparkling eyes that made her stand out wherever she went. While Mariana received compliments and attention, Joanna struggled to contain the jealousy that simmered inside her. Sometimes, the tender moments between mother and daughter were interrupted by Joanna's comments, disguised as jokes but full of resentment. Mariana tried to ignore her mother's signs of disapproval, but she couldn't help feeling hurt by the sharp words that occasionally escaped Joanna's lips. The lack of honest communication between mother and daughter made it difficult for Mariana to understand what was really going on inside Joanna's mind. She wondered why her mother seemed so distant and sometimes even hostile towards her, despite her efforts to be a good daughter. On the other hand, Joanna struggled with her own inner demons. She hated herself for feeling jealous of her own daughter and for letting these feelings overshadow her love for Mariana. The painful memories of the past continued to haunt her, feeding her insecurity and fanning the flames of jealousy that burned inside her. Meanwhile, the relationship between mother and daughter gradually deteriorated, leaving a painful gap between them that seemed increasingly difficult to bridge. Mariana longed for her mother's love and acceptance, while Joanna found herself struggling to find a way to free herself from the jealousy and bitterness that consumed her. As the conflict between mother and daughter reached boiling point, unexpected events were about to shake up their lives and challenge them to confront the true nature of their feelings. Despite everything, Mariana did her best to show her mother love and kindness. She understood the pain her mother was carrying and fervently wished she could ease her burden. However, Joanna's jealousy only seemed to increase with each passing day, casting a shadow over their relationship and causing palpable tension between mother and daughter. Mariana constantly sought ways to get closer to Joanna, offering support and understanding, but her attempts were often met with reservations and coldness from her mother. She tried hard to understand Joanna's conflicting feelings, but no matter how hard she tried, it seemed that nothing could dispel the jealousy that consumed her. Meanwhile, Joanna struggled internally with her own emotional demons. She knew that her jealousy was affecting her relationship with Mariana, but she felt powerless to control it. The weight of past insecurities and bitterness continued to torment her, feeding the jealousy that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. Mother and daughter found themselves trapped in a cycle of tension and misunderstandings, struggling to find a way to overcome the obstacles that separated them. While Mariana persisted in her desire to bring love and harmony to their relationship, Joanna found herself increasingly isolated in her own world of envy and resentment. Their future remained uncertain, while the weight of jealousy continued to shape the fate of mother and daughter. Joanna knew that what fueled this feeling of jealousy towards her daughter was rooted in her painful childhood memories, when she herself had been bullied for not being considered pretty by her classmates. Rejection from an early age had left deep scars in her heart, and her husband's subsequent rejection only exacerbated her feelings towards Mariana. These painful memories of the past continued to haunt Joanna, feeding her insecurity and resentment towards her own daughter's beauty. Every time she looked at Mariana, she saw reflections of her own pain and anguish, rekindling the wounds that she had never managed to heal completely. Despite knowing that these feelings were neither right nor healthy, Joanna found herself unable to control them. They infiltrated every aspect of her life, obscuring her ability to feel love and gratitude for the gift she had in her daughter. And as if everything she felt wasn't enough, more problems lay ahead. Joan had always been on her own for everything, her salary barely enough to pay the bills. One day, a letter arrived warning her that her rent was very late and that if she didn't pay it, she could be evicted from the house where she lived with her daughter. Joanna felt a tightness in her chest when she read the letter informing her that her rent was very late and that she was in imminent danger of being evicted. Her salary was barely enough to pay the basic bills, and now this news made her panic. She looked around the modest house that she and Mariana called home, feeling the weight of despair piling up on her shoulders. In a moment of despair, Joanna remembered a friend who had turned to a local loan shark to borrow money. The thought of resorting to such extreme measures was frightening, but the prospect of losing the only roof over their heads was even more terrifying. Joanna struggled internally with this decision, weighing up the pros and cons, but the pressure of desperation was overwhelming. She knew she had to act quickly to prevent everything from getting worse, thinking that this would be her salvation. Joanna got the money and was overjoyed that she would be able to pay off the loan shark bit by bit, but little did she know that her plans wouldn't work out. A month later, Joanna was looking forward to receiving her salary but received the sad news. Joanna felt her heart sink when she learned that the company where she worked was going through financial difficulties and was unable to pay all its employees, including herself. Despair overtook her as she realized that her hopes of settling her debt with the loan shark were crumbling before her eyes. She found herself in an even more precarious situation than before, now facing not only the imminent threat of eviction, but also the real danger of reprisals from the loan shark for the money she had borrowed. Joanna felt trapped, with no way out and unable to see a solution to her growing problems. With the weight of failure weighing heavily on her shoulders, Joanna struggled to keep calm and find a way to protect her daughter and her home. She knew she had to act quickly to avoid even more serious consequences, but the uncertainty of the future left her paralyzed with fear. The phone rang, breaking the suffocating silence that enveloped Joanna's small home. Her heart sank when she saw the loan shark's number flashing on the phone screen. With trembling hands, she answered the call, knowing that there was no good news on the other end of the line. The loan shark's rough, threatening voice echoed through the phone, demanding to know why Joanna hadn't yet paid back the money she owed. She swallowed, trying to articulate an explanation, but her words seemed weak and insignificant in the face of the loan shark's threats. He began issuing a series of threats, promising dire consequences if Joanna couldn't find a way to pay off her debt. Joanna's heart hammered in her chest as she struggled to contain the panic that threatened to consume her. The loan shark's cruel and intimidating words echoed in her ears, leaving Joanna feeling trapped and powerless in the face of the inevitable consequences she would face if she couldn't resolve the situation. Fear overwhelmed her as she desperately tried to find a way out of this terrible predicament. Then, as Mariana was walking home from school, her heart sank when she heard the phone ring. It was a distressing call from her mother, Joanna. Joanna's voice trembled on the other end of the line as she revealed that she had gotten into serious trouble. She confessed that she had borrowed money from a loan shark to pay off her debts, but hadn't been able to pay it back on time. Joanna's words fell like a weight on Mariana's heart. She could hardly believe that her mother had been involved in such a dangerous situation. Worry and fear mixed in her mind as she listened to her mother explain that the loan shark was now threatening her with damages if she didn't get the money together by the end of the week. Mariana felt a chill run down her spine at the thought of the devastating consequences that could result if her mother failed to resolve this situation. She knew she had to act fast and find a solution to help her mother out of this predicament. With determination and courage, Mariana promised herself that she would do everything in her power to protect her family and overcome this crisis. She spent sleepless nights, restless and worried, her mind spinning in circles as she desperately tried to find a solution to her mother's problem. Mariana felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, but she refused to give up. She knew she had to act quickly to prevent something terrible from happening. Finally, one day, as she was walking through the city streets, a beauty pageant poster caught her eye. A flash of inspiration struck her. Mariana stopped in front of the poster, her heart suddenly racing at the idea she had just had. She realized that this could be her chance to get the money her mother desperately needed. With renewed determination, Mariana began to plan her next step. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to do everything in her power to help her mother. With courage and hope, she took the first step towards a solution to her problems. Mariana had always been admired for her beauty and knew she had a chance of winning the contest and receiving the prize money. She decided to enter the contest, determined to use her attributes to help her mother in her hour of need. With her confidence renewed and a new determination, Mariana embarked on this journey with hope and courage. With renewed determination, Mariana entered the beauty contest and dedicated herself to preparing for the contest. She spent hours practicing her walks, poses and smiles in front of the mirror, determined to perfect every detail of her presentation. Every spare moment was spent training, visualizing herself on stage, confident and radiant. Mariana knew that the road to victory would not be easy. She faced competition from other equally talented and beautiful contestants. However, the thought of her mother in danger pushed her to overcome all obstacles. She was determined to win the prize money and save her mother from imminent danger. When the day of the contest arrived, Mariana felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. She prepared meticulously, wearing her best outfit and taking care of every detail of her appearance. As she waited backstage, her heart pounded with anticipation of what was to come. When it was her turn to parade across the stage, Mariana took a deep breath and entered. Her steps were firm, her posture impeccable, and her smile radiated confidence and grace. The spotlight shone on her as the judges looked on in admiration, impressed by Mariana's beauty and charisma. Despite her initial nervousness, Mariana surrendered to the moment, enjoying every moment in the spotlight. She knew that this was her moment to shine, not only for herself, but also for her mother, who depended on her to find a solution to her financial problems. With every graceful step and confident glance, Mariana moved closer to her goal of saving her mother from the imminent threat. When the winner was finally announced, it was no surprise to the audience when Mariana's name was called out. Applause echoed through the hall, and a smile of pure happiness spread across Mariana's face. She could hardly believe that she had won, but a sense of pride and accomplishment flooded her heart. For Mariana, that moment meant much more than just winning a beauty contest. It was proof that she was capable of overcoming challenges and achieving her goals, even in the face of adversity. It was the chance to give her family a new start, to put an end to the financial problems that haunted her so much. As Mariana took to the stage to receive her award, her eyes welling with tears, she knew that this was just the first step in her journey to help her mother and ensure a better future for her family. With determination and courage, she was ready to face any challenge that came her way. Accepting the prize money, Mariana felt a wave of relief and joy wash over her. She rushed to her mother's side, tears in her eyes, as she handed Joanna the money. Her mother's face was a mixture of shock and gratitude as she realized what her daughter had done for her. At that moment, the walls of jealousy and resentment that separated them disappeared. Joanna hugged her daughter, tears streaming down her face as she asked for forgiveness, realizing the depth of Mariana's love for her. They stood there, embracing, while the audience erupted in applause and cheers. From that day on, Joanna and Mariana's relationship was transformed. They learned to communicate openly and honestly with each other, bridging the gap that had previously divided them. The trust and love between mother and daughter blossomed, strengthening their bond and creating a deeper, more meaningful connection. Together, they would face life's challenges with courage and mutual support, knowing that their love was stronger than any obstacle. As they walked home from the beauty pageant, hand in hand, Mariana felt a sense of peace and fulfillment wash over her. The soft evening breeze caressed their faces as they walked together, sharing smiles and looks full of complicity. The difficult journey they had faced had strengthened their bond, and now, in the calm of the night, they felt united and in harmony, ready to face the future together. And as they entered the house, bathed in the warm glow of newfound understanding and love, Mariana knew that her story had found a happy ending. She looked at her mother, whose eyes now shone with gratitude and affection, and knew that, despite the challenges they had faced, they were stronger than ever. Together, they had come through the trials and tribulations, and now, in the safety and warmth of their home, they had found the happiness they had longed for. It was the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, a chapter full of hope, love and unity. The moral of this story is that love, understanding and communication are essential for overcoming challenges and strengthening family ties. Even in the face of difficulties and conflicts, it is possible to find harmony and happiness when there is true empathy and mutual support between family members. Joanna and Mariana's story teaches us that by facing life's obstacles together, we can turn disagreements into unity and build a future full of love and understanding.